Welcome, Sagittarius. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, getting ready to do a January new moon reading for you. The new moon is in Aquarius, and there is a release of a lot of planets that have been retrograde for a very long time for a considerable window of the next couple of months, generally. This has been accompanied, of course, by Mercury moving direct, which is always welcome. So we have a chance to consider the many lessons that we have glimpsed, seen, in some ways integrated, and we are in a position to reposition ourselves as we move forward over the next month or so. This reading was done during the new moon in Aquarius, but it is timeless and is intended to support you whenever you find it. So Sagittarius, let's get started with your overall energy, the Seven of Wands. Please forgive my hoarse voice. The Seven of Wands is showing you in a place of reinforcing some very firm boundaries. It may be coming immediately as somewhat of a defense because of the need to protect yourself, to secure your own ground, to secure your space. And this has been vital to you during this time in a way that is, as I often say, uncharacteristic of the Sag energy, which is generally optimistic, exploratory, questing, outwardly adventurous. Instead, you have been cultivating your inner space, your inner landscape, really doing some hard dealing, confronting of your energies, and allowing yourself to milk as much as possible from the lessons, the hard lessons that you've learned. You've become masterful at this, and you are intent upon protecting the space that you have cultivated, this healing space for yourself. You are clear that you are on your path, and in order to maintain the momentum that you've gained over this global pandemic time, is something that is important to you and may appear defensive towards your loved ones who are familiar and used to your eternal generosity and optimism. This space is important to you. Drawing boundaries has been given new meaning as you recognize that your resources are limited. In the 10th house, you have the 10 of Pentacles. The energy of this new moon in Aquarius is really impacting your house of communications, the way that you process information and the events in your life, a kind of churning aspect and energy that is allowing you to recognize that you have everything that you need. And despite the areas of insecurity or lack that you would like to address, that you recognize, others see you as fulfilled, as complete, and as joyful in that abundance. Despite the ways in which you are pulling back and pulling in, you are still the generous adventurer. You are still the cheerful optimist in regards to your place and your participation in the collective. In the first house, we have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is indicating this continuous effort that you have not released, but you are learning to appreciate the lessons that you have learned from a perception in the past of victimhood, a perception in which you were multiply disappointed and let down by others, You were never satisfied with the end of your efforts. And this sense of failure, emotional failure, not having anything to show for your efforts is something that you have learned to hold close as the emblem of your pain and suffering may turned into gold, turned into the lessons that now allow you to cleanly separate yourself from those things and people that no longer serve you. The fourth house has the Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles is your ability to reward yourself, to recognize that in fact you have in real terms, on your terms, all that you need to create all that you want. This is this eternal creativity and that comes from a recognition of this abundance, and that you are in a position to eternally generate new ideas and to lend that energy to others as they observe your model of resourcefulness and abundance. In the seventh house of relationships, we have the Knight of Swords. And this is a place where you are really applying your best detachment. You are learning not to live in your head, not to apply logic or reason to your relationships, but instead to detach your emotions when seeking to move your relationships forward, to grow your relationships, to learn from them, and to allow others to learn from you. This is important because ideas, your philosophy, your spiritual goals and aspirations are key to the value of your relationships for you right now. And this does feel like your ability to practice stepping back from your emotions and allowing truth and curiosity about that truth to move your relationships forward. I'm going to clarify the cards, the Nine of Swords in the first house by the Seven of Cups in the second, and the Ace of Wands in the third. This is beautiful because the new growth that I'm seeing for you, the impact of this new moon in Aquarius is in fact falling directly into the house of new beginnings for you. You are communicating in a new way. You are recognizing the accumulation of lessons and growth and ability to identify your own weaknesses is what is rejuvenating and inspiring the way that you communicate with others, the way you're supporting their attempts to begin anew, begin afresh, to start from the basis of no assumptions except for growth. Growth happens despite our best intentions, but you are focused on growing, developing yourself, and communicating that journey to others. You are also recognizing the many illusions that you have fostered, the delusions that have been fostered by the projections that occurred from this tremendous healing effort that you've been on. This Nine of Swords journey has taken you through deep suffering, deep trauma, and you are understanding better the way that that trauma has altered your perspective, your ability to recognize what is real, and has encouraged false comforts, false fantasies of growth, safety, security, love, creativity. And the understanding of that, in fact, is not deflating you, but it is inspiring you. It's stripping away these false masks from your ability to communicate from a place of integrity and honesty, which is something, Sagittarius, we all know you value highly, almost beyond anything else. The Queen of Pentacles in the fourth house is clarified by the Death card in the fifth house and the Queen of Swords in the sixth house. Interesting. So this ability to detach yourself, this ability to step back from this joyful optimism that is a part of Jupiter's, your ruling planet's influence over your sign, always seeing the cup half full, always seeing the bounteous glory and joy that we are capable of, is you're now stepping back from the assumption of prosperity and joy and good intention in order to interrogate your real reality, your real patterns and habits. How much of those habits have been the result of a Pollyanna view of the world in which everything is going to turn out all right and you're going to come out on top. You have stepped back from that and really recognize that you are, with the knowledge you have gained that allows you to see the illusions you've cultivated, you're now curious about the potential of your reality, about what exists and ways that you have grown and can grow your relationships, your body, your wellness, your wholeness as a person, so that you can be a support to the pursuit of truth for all. And this, of course, has come about through the tremendous changes that you have accepted in your place of creativity, your place of joy, your place of love, your place of friendship. You've allowed yourself to accept those changes and recognize the value in releasing the old masks, dropping the masks of the past, of the happy-go-lucky facade, to the extent that it has been a facade. I'm not by any means suggesting that there isn't a truly Jupiterian effort at abundance. Jupiter blows everything up, exaggerates, makes it larger than life, and there is a necessity to that energy, but you're learning the appropriate application of that vision, and you are in the current time really stepping back to assess who you really are and who you really want to be. The Knight of Swords in the seventh house is clarified by the Knight of Swords, and the eighth house repeats are always a confirmation, and the World card in the ninth house. What is interesting about this detachment is that you are using this ability to accept your emotional core and detach yourself from the feel-good of that joyful inner child, and recognize that the joyful inner child can grow up. And as a part of that growing up, you are determined to take responsibility for more of the world and more of the direction of the collective than this sort of superficial joyfulness. And I might even extend it to this toxic positivity that we see so often in the world, our even New Age world, our New Age community, that may attempt, as perhaps you have, to replace that toxic positivity that really does not encourage growth or expansion or even the facing of the deep trauma that you are now aware that you have experienced that affects everything in your life. This can be social oppression, racism, the impact of war, violence. These are real forces in our lives that we must face for what they are. And you've learned to take the responsibility for that and to grow up this, the Santa Claus energy within you. The World card is placing a hold on your house. The ninth house, the house of philosophy, spirituality, education, higher education, distant cultures, the diversity of the world is where you have achieved your place. And this is the place where you belong. Recognizing how your difference makes you like everyone else. This is key to your understanding of how you, in all of your damage, trauma, suffering, belong in the world and are able to relate to citizens of the world and the effort to make a better world. This is a beautiful card of recognizing, being recognized for some achievement in that realm, being rewarded by this growth that you are experiencing, so contrary to what the outer facade may have appeared. The Ten of Pentacles in the 10th house is clarified by the Nine of Pentacles in the 11th house and the Ten of Swords in the 12th house. I love this. As a Sag rising, this is feeling very present for me. This ability throughout this struggle, we start with the Nine of Swords, and here we are at the Nine of Pentacles, where you have forged your own independent identity. You forged your own independent security and stability. And that stability is in a place that reflects who you are, in as much as you are willing and able to invest. You are poised to contribute. You do contribute to the various efforts of others. You invest in your community, in individuals, to the extent that you can without jeopardizing your resources. Money is to be used, resources are to be shared, and you are in a perfectly positioned place to understand that, to see that, and to glory in this hard-won independence. The Ten of Swords in your 12th house is an indication that you have finally, you are beginning to let go of all the things that don't serve you truly. And the reason I say beginning is because healing is an ongoing process. It doesn't have a discrete beginning or end. It continues as we grow and change. We keep spiraling through the lessons we've learned, understanding them more deeply. Your ability to accept this cycle, this process into your life as a permanent feature of the processing of the experiences that you've been through and that you continue to go through. Cutting the wheat from the shaft, releasing those things that don't serve you, not by dropping, cutting out people, but by separating yourself from those behaviors and those events that do not reflect your understanding, your alignment with what is possible in the world. I'm going to finish off, not clarify, this reading for you with an oracle card from the Soul's Journey. And I've taken self-esteem. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. And I'm going to leave this here, Sagittarius. I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you. Namaste.